Mornings with James on JessFM, and special guest in the studio with me this morning. We have Jeremy Gook or Gook or Gook. Jeremy Gook. Okay, and if you want to just let's test that level out on your microphone a little bit.
Yeah, Jeremy Gook. Does it work?
Yeah, it works. It works just fine. You know, kind of a serious conversation going on this morning. Operation Underground Railroad. I looked at it and I kind of thought, oh, that's interesting. What is it?
Well, Operation Underground Railroad was started by a man by the name of Tim Ballard. He was a CIA agent for 13, 15 years.
CIA?
Yes.
Wow.
He actually, at the time, about 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago, he was approached by a couple different things that kind of changed his mindset as far as wanting to make a difference in helping kids and people. But a little bit of his background is he was a CIA agent for many years. In the beginning, he was asked by his boss to set up a child trafficking division within the CIA. And it was tough for him, but many years later, he came to the point of there was an operation that he was working with some local authorities in Colombia. Had talked with them about performing an operation. Said that he would come back down with some, with the U.S. background and kind of help set up an operation with them to help save kids. And then at that time too, he actually a man from Haiti came up and met with him about his son Gardy being lost and or taken. Gardy also had was born in the U.S., so he had thought that we could help these two people, one in Colombia and one in Haiti, and found out that the U.S. government wanted nothing to do with it. I told him that, hey, look, you can't do anything on your own personal time either. But he had made these two commitments, and he was kind of torn. And at the end of the day, he found some funding from a friend of his, went to do this operation. What happened is he quit the CIA. Cold turkey, pension, all that good stuff, just kind of left it on the table and said, I got to go save some kids and make these commitments. And then he went down, simultaneously performed these operations and ended up saving about 50 children. And that's kind of where it started with Operation Underground Railroad. So he then started Operation Underground Railroad and it is now in many countries throughout the world, working with local authorities, having an aftercare system set up in place that once these children are saved, they actually go into an aftercare to bring them back to reality, hopefully. So.
Wow. Okay. So a couple of things we have to wrap our heads around. Mm-hmm. Sex trafficking.
Yes.
And aftercare.
Yes.
So here we are, Lethbridge, and literally we're broadcasting to the world as we're online. But on Facebook Live, it's my associates, my friends, the people here in town that very good people and very good organizations, and we're talking about the sex trade with kids.
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, trafficking is a $150 billion industry.
Wow.
It's the third quickest, fastest growing criminal organization in the world, next to drugs and guns. It's something that we don't like to talk about or even think about, but at the end of the day, it's happening around us. The other day, I just talked with a member of the RCMP, and he was mentioning that there's stuff that happens all the time. People trying to traffic kids across the border. So, we're here in Lethbridge, and we can't be naive to the fact that this kind of stuff happens. Within the last, 4 months, there's been, 2 cases of guys caught with child pornography. So it's real.
And so the guys with the child pornography, are they drawing a line between that pornography and the trafficking? Are they saying?
I don't know. That's a good question. That's tough. But at the end of the day, they might be just sitting there clicking a button. But in reality, it's
they're supporting the industry.
They're supporting it 100%. So it's scary to think. And but at the end of the day, with the beauty behind O.U.R. And like he had said, is sex trafficking and aftercare is that when they do perform these operations and they do save children, they don't perform an operation unless they have local authorities involved, and because they can't arrest, they can't do any of that. And then not only that, they also have an aftercare program set up. So when they do save these people, mainly children or women, is that they can go into an aftercare system, and they don't just put them in a aftercare and say, okay, have at her, see you later.
Yeah.
They actually take care of them and hopefully integrate them back into the society. Because I mean, some of these kids have been trafficked since they've been 4 years old. So it's dark.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day is that we're bringing light into the world, and the fact that we need to start thinking about, you know, who we are as people, and understand that we're here to help each other, and to, you know, slavery wasn't abolished back in the 1860s. So
yeah,
it's really
you know, great point. I mentioned that on Facebook this morning. You know, they had the emancipation in 1865. Slavery is still alive and well.
it is.
Okay, so kids 4 years of age, kids, you know, 10, 12, whatever. Do we know if that is now, I guess I should ask this question. Your role here in the Lethbridge area, what do you do for the organization?
So my role here is I'm, of course, I'm an advocate for O.U.R. So our role here is my wife and I, we are actually the first team leaders in Canada. And what we are doing here in southern Alberta, or even in Canada, is trying to find people to create awareness, to find organizations, people that can help sponsor, that can help create funding so that O.U.R. can continue to perform operations. The beauty behind O.U.R. is that all the money that is raised and generated goes to operations. You know, Tim and O.U.R. set up CrossFit gyms in Utah, which helps pay for the overhead from their membership. So at the end of the day, they're really making sure that any money that comes in is going directly to funding operations and saving children.
Yeah, yeah. O.U.R. So Operation Underground Railroad. Very fitting title when you tie it in with slavery. You know, I've got kids, and you know, many people listening also have kids. Do you guys have kids?
I have 4 kids, yes.
You have 4 kids. So, what are we doing to keep our kids safe? And I know City of Lethbridge, they do workshops, kid safe programs. What does your program advocate for that?
Well, there's different things. So if you go to OURrescue.org, there's different ways that are on, of course, that website to help combat that kind of stuff. But I think at the end of the day, we can't be, as parents, naive to the fact that kids are going to have devices and they're going to be, you know, have access to certain things like this. But I mean, you look at, for example, Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. I mean, there's different things out there on social media that within a few clicks you can find out where your kids are at or somebody else's kids are at. So we have to put those checks on. We have to look at those parental controls or those privacy controls to set them to not allow people to look up pictures and find our kids. So
yeah. You hear horror stories sometimes, and it's not to dive into the darkness here and really make it negative, but it is to say you hear these stories. For example, there was a group a while back, and I can't remember where the story came from, but a woman had on the back of her vehicle, she had herself, her husband, and then all their kids.
Yeah. And
she was off to baseball practice. And because she had all the logos on all those images on the back of her vehicle, a stalker basically said, "Oh, look, there's that. Let's find that woman." And that woman ended up getting attacked. Now, we drive around and we see that stuff all the time. Is your organization, do you promote awareness of, hey, don't do this, don't do that? What should people really watch out for? I mean, like I said, we're in Lethbridge, and Lethbridge is, you know, we're known for our conservative nature. What do we do?
Well, I think the other thing too is that when you look at these traffickers, they get pretty clever now. They're not running out to playgrounds and taking kids as much as what probably people would think that they're doing. I mean, that stuff still does happen, but at the end of the day, they're getting smarter. I mean, they're luring women and boys and kids by different means, by buying them things, or getting them dependent on the fact that my boyfriend is buying me jewelry, and getting them, excited about money and certain things, and then they get them involved in drugs, and then sooner or later they either run away with this person or they get trafficked. So they are getting more clever, and just we're going with a lollipop to the park and taking your child. I mean, those things do happen, which are sad, but at the end of the day, here in our North America, they're getting more clever to traffic people. So the organization again is really just bringing an awareness that, hey, this is real. We're trying to work with, or myself, again, advocating. I'm trying to work with local government. I met with Rachel Harder and trying to get in the faces of people to say, hey, look, this is a problem, and we need to educate ourselves about it. So by doing so, go online, go to O.U.R.rescue.org, and there is ways that we can help ourselves understand that this is real. That this is out there, and start by that is looking at how our kids view social media, how they dress, how they are with friends, certain things like that, just to help us understand that this is reality.
I know of so many stories, without getting into specifics, so many stories about people where they have met somebody online, they met a friend online, maybe the people watching, maybe you've got a young daughter, young son who, mom or dad, I just met this person online, they're really great, oh, they would never lie to me, and then the next thing you know, it's, well, this person wants to meet. Now, we can't control what our kids do once they leave the house. I mean, we have apps like Life 360, where you can track your kids by their cell phone, things like that. But if the cell phone's lost, battery dies, of course you're out of luck with that. What do we watch for if we happen to have a child? And it's so funny, when I was, not funny, but as we were talking about this last night, and I was going through your website, and it reads like ourrescue.org.
Yes.
O.U.R. rescue.org. And a lot of places in the world, Thailand, Cambodia, India, like of all the rescues, those were the big places. But I can't help but wonder if there's something covert going on with your kid. What do you look for? What kind of guidance can you give people to help them, not to be paranoid, but to be proactive, to be inspired by, okay, so we have this message, we know that there's issues out there. What do we do now? What do we do? What do we look for?
Well, I think the part to look for is just how your kids are really acting, and who they're hanging out with, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's just a generic or general parenting rule. But when they start coming home with lavish clothes or more expensive jewelry, or start hanging out with different crowds that are kind of keeping them away more at night, those kind of things are kind of luring tactics of traffickers. So it really, you really just have to watch what is happening with your kids.
I'm a little bit concerned now, because I know of some children who were involved with a production, and the people that were putting production on were not associated with any of the normal groups, Lethbridge Musical Theatre or anything like that. They were more of a fringe group. They did Facebook posts, things like that, and they got all these kids, but they had everybody. They had people from the age of 10 to 60, whatever, going out for this play that they were going to do. Some things happened, and before long, the kids were all going to their house to meet. And the group had been on Facebook, and all of a sudden, I couldn't get a hold of anyone. And I'm thinking to myself, this is, like, is this the kind of thing that we should, as a father, I look at that and I go, yeah, you know what, I need to know. And then you're up against, the people that say, well, you're being paranoid, like it's just this fun thing, and don't worry about it. Hey, Dad, don't worry about it. Your daughter's going over to this guy's place, blah 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 blah, and the mom's there. how far-fetched is it that possibly in here in Lethbridge, now it's not to put it out there and make something out of nothing, but is that the kind of thing that you see happen other places? Like, I noticed on the website it says modeling. Is that the kind of thing that goes on?
Yes, that does happen. I mean, as far as here in Lethbridge, I don't know. I mean, finding the statistics for that here is something that we're anxiously engaged in trying to look for. But yes, that does happen. I mean, there is I can't remember exactly whether it was Colombia or Haiti, but there was a famous model that was doing that. That's how they would get these girls lured.
So they're actually using a model.
That model to get girls excited about coming and getting into this modeling agency, and sooner or later they're no longer around. So they are getting smarter and smarter. I mean, there's different organizations out there. For example, Ashton Kutcher. Can't really.
Ashton Kutcher. Yeah.
I mean, his world works in.
I think that's Thor.
Yeah,
is it?
I think so.
Yeah.
His organization really works with the computers and creating software to try to combat this kind of stuff. So, there's different organizations out there that are trying to fight this, but really at the end of the day, it's saying, hey, this is happening, be aware of it, and what can we do to change it? Especially here in our North America world, is that they, just knowing that it's around. I mean, you got different massage parlors maybe, or different things like that might have traffic women. So it's really looking out for those kind of things.
And I know here in Southern Alberta, we've had a number of people that were arrested for child pornography, inappropriate actions, things like that. And unfortunately, they were very, very key figures in the community. Ready access to kids, or people that maybe I had met or people around me had met and knew quite well. And you look at it and you go, how?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you look at the story of Haiti, of one of the stories of how O.U.R was began as a Gardaí was the boy that was taken, but he was taken by people that he knew. So it's tough to think that, but when it comes down to those types of countries and things, money kind of ends up talking, and it's scary. I mean, here in our world, it's again they're more clever on how they try to find or traffic people.
Yeah. So, as a sort of a takeaway, would we say one of the best things that you can do is don't be afraid, be proactive.
Yes.
And fear is the great enemy. When we talk about different things, a lot of times people want to respond like, oh, this is happening, we need to be afraid of this. Put the fear aside. Put the worry aside. Be proactive. Take positive steps. Be engaged with your kids. And I know as a father, maybe I wasn't engaged enough, and I'm certainly working on being better with that. What do you do to help the situation? Knowing what you know, being part of the organization, what do you do?
Can't do enough.
No, you as a father,
even myself, I can't do enough. I mean, there have always, for example, with my daughter, she has a phone, but I got her on Find Friends, where I can kind of keep check where she's at. But at the end of the day, is setting checks and helping them understand that hey, just jumping on Facebook and accepting a whole bunch of friends isn't the best scenario. Run it by us. Talk to us about who is asking them to be friends, or who is talking to them on social media, and helping them to just be aware. Don't instill the fear in them that hey, that someone's gonna steal them out of the night or whatever. But just help them understand that yes, you're going to be part of these things, and you want the social media and all those kind of different aspects to engage with your friends. But when something alarming happens and you get some weird invite to a different party or whatnot, but just then communicate it back to us. And we do again set up the checks as far as filters and certain things with on devices and on our computers, so that darkness has less ability to creep in.
Yeah.
And then just really making them aware that this stuff is around there. There was a podcast, again, It's called Slave Stealer, and it's a podcast series that Tim Ballard and Mark Mabry put out there.
Slave Stealer?
It's called Slave Stealer.
Slave Stealer, okay.
And it's very informative. It's much like this, where they do interviews and certain things like that. But on one of them there, Mark Mabry's son actually interviews Tim Ballard and asks him these about questions, and he's a teenager. So I mean, in that, it kind of gets, Tim talks about these things, but on a level that children can understand, because you don't want to go in talking about the dark of the dark with kids.
And all of a sudden everyone's
And then
terrified.
everybody's freaking out and everybody's running around, but you just got to help them understand that, hey, look, when there is certain things, or these certain things can happen. If you're getting invited to a party that you know nothing about, well, I'm your dad, run it by me. I'm not going to say yes or no, but just communicate things, because at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do, is just create awareness with people that these things are out there, that this stuff is happening. And yes, there is prevention, there is checks, and there's, I like to say, I would know the perfect way to make it go away, but it's just that awareness saying, hey guys, slavery isn't abolished, and child trafficking is real. And how do we change that? It's just by telling people about it, making people aware that this is going on around us. So.
Yeah. So how do you? This will be the tough question. As a father, I think you want your kids to know that you trust them,
Mm-hmm.
and especially what you and your wife do. How do you broach the subject with your kids and say, you know what, I trust you. You're going to be on Facebook. You're going to be doing this. You're going to be going there and logging onto that. How do you say, I trust you, and I want you to be aware, and yes, I'm going to put guidelines down? Because I know there are going to be some people watching that are going to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do with my kids, or maybe there's a grandpa out there watching, and maybe they want to be able to say, okay, this is how we communicate with young people, so that they don't have that backlash, they don't have that oppositional. What do you recommend?
I'm sure it'll be child specific. I mean, the difference between, say, my oldest son and my oldest daughter are quite different. My daughter, I really just sit her down and just let her know that, this is a reality. This is things that are going on in the world. I don't get too, again, dark with those things, but I just help her understand that I want to protect her, and I want to be able to help her understand that I'm just there to put these things in place, to check with her, but give her enough to where I can actually see that trust back, because I think at the end of the day, it's a two-way trust. I mean, she has to trust me, and I have to trust her. And when she breaks that trust, then take certain apps away from her, or take things away from her phone. And I mean, that's tough to do sometimes, especially in the world of friends.
That's your lifeline, that phone. You lose that phone.
That's the way it is. But just helping her understand, or even the children, that, hey, look, this is why. And I mean, a lot of times as parents, we can be reactive and we do it, and we don't explain why. We can sit them down in an atmosphere that is non-threatening, in the sense that we're taking their life away, but just saying, hey, look, these things I want to be able to work together on.
They do exist.
They do
work
exist,
together.
and it's out there, just much the same as the world of pornography. I mean, what is that? I mean, everybody has their different views on it, but at the end of the day, it's out there. Just helping our children or youth know this is real, this is out there, and how do we work with it? And I mean, understand it. Sex trafficking is not an easy subject to bring up to a 13-year-old.
Well, and we know that it, if there's no proof it exists here in Lethbridge. However, we know it's in Calgary, big time.
Oh,
it's in Calgary, and if it's in Calgary, you know that it's spread out.
We did an event there a few months back where a lady kept coming back and forth up to our booth. She bought a T-shirt, and she came back and donated an extra $5, and she came back probably about 4 different times. At the end, she came back and she said, I just have to tell this story. And she was on a C train in Calgary, and she recognized that she probably wasn't the best dressed, and her kids probably weren't super taken care of. It was one of those days, but she said that she was approached by a gentleman and offered $10,000 a piece for children. That was in Calgary, and that was a story from this lady, but she was very emotional and concerned to tell this story. So for me, I felt that there was some belief and there's some truth to that, because it does happen. Another girl that has joined our team, and again, just to let you know, here in Lethbridge, we are starting a team. We are trying to get people involved and become really creating that awareness. So if you go to OURrescue.org, you can actually sign up and become an abolitionist, which allows you to donate a monthly amount to help the organization O.U.R. But also it will actually, if you want to be part of this, you can actually join our team. And what we're doing is we're just creating a network of people, of ideas. But anyway, this girl from Calgary is mentioned also too. She was telling a story of that a couple of years ago, where one of her friends had disappeared. She was classified as a runaway, but a lot of her friends and people know that she just wouldn't run away with the police, and that's kind of what she was classified as. And didn't hear from her, and about a year ago she had got a phone call just out of the blue from this girl, unknown number, just crying for help, saying that she was in need of help and she doesn't know where she's at, and that was it. I haven't heard from her since. So these stories exist, and not to scare or freak anybody out, but it's just, the reality is that this is happening around us, and we just have to be more aware. And again, OURrescue.org, there's lots of different ways that you can combat this.
So OURrescue.org. What about local resources? Where, if somebody's going to watch this and going to be very interested in helping your organization out, being a part of it, I've signed up for a newsletter. Where do they go? Do they connect with you personally? Do they connect with a local chapter? Can you get
well, really, if you want to call it, it's our local team. So if you go to, you can email myself it's OURrescuecanada@gmail.com, and that can put you in touch with resources on how to combat these things, or just be more aware, or really you can join our team, and you can go to OURrescue.org, and there's ways that you can volunteer and help out. At the end of the day, the other thing that we got going, which is really exciting, is this weekend in McGrath on the 15th and 16th. It's this weekend. Friday, Saturdays, we have a big event. It's called an event that's been going on for the last 10 years. It was called Dixie Lane Market. And this year, all of the proceeds from all of the vendors, or not all the vendors, but donations that they've put forward, are going to OURrescue.
Oh, fantastic.
So come on out to that. It's in McGrath at the hockey arena, but we are just forming our team and forming people that can help us perform these types of events and do things and fundraisers, and just really get in the public's eye of saying, hey, we need to combat this, and the best way is with awareness.
And I think as a tangible for people so that they can partake in it, that event in McGrath is called again?
It's called Dixie Lane Market.
Dixie Lane Market. It's going to be taking place at the Civic Center or the Ice Arena.
The Ice Arena,
The Ice Arena, which is a huge facility, so I can imagine it's going to be really well attended. That's going to take place Friday and Saturday. What are we looking at for times of operation?
Friday is, I do believe, from 5 to 9. Should just double check that.
5 to 9, and then probably
Saturday is 10 to 2, I do believe.
10 to 2. Okay, so lots of information, helping out a great cause. Any final words? We'll get back to the music here, and this video, I'm going to upload it to my Facebook page. Well, we're going to upload it to, we're live on Facebook right now. It'll be on my Facebook page. It's going to go on my YouTube channel. I can make it available for yourself too, because I think there is, I know there's a lot of great information here. I know that as I've watched some of the people signing on here, we've woken up some people to some of the things that are going on. So, and I appreciate it. I noticed that we had many city aldermen log on. Our mayor was on here, and that's great. And knowledge is power, and I realize it's a little bit dark for my show this morning, but you know what? I think we can become inspired by Jeremy and by what O.U.R. Rescue, Operation Underground Railroad, we can be inspired by what that is doing, and we can become inspired to be vigilant and work together with our kids to create safer environments, safer communities for them. So definitely a good thing. Contact information once again?
Again, it's the website for O.U.R is OURrescue.org. You can also email myself at OURrescueCanada@gmail.com.
And that just goes directly to you?
That goes directly to me. We do have a Facebook page. It's O.U.R. Rescue Canada. And then the other thing too is go to the website and sign up to become an abolitionist. And what that is again, you can donate anywhere from $5 to however much you feel, and those that generates income, or not income, but revenue to be able to perform these operations.
Yeah.
And that's really the best way that you can help support too is become an abolitionist.
Yeah. Well, that is fantastic. I thank you very much for coming on the program this morning. Jeremy Gook, and we're going to get back to music here in just a second. If you got any questions, by all means, you can email Jeremy at O.U.R. Rescue, O.U.R. Rescue Canada at gmail.com. I'm going to get back to the music. Jeremy, thank you very much once again. It has been an eye-opening experience this morning. This is JessFM.